Any time that we make a promise to ourselves that we don't keep, we erode trust in our system. This is not an opportunity to make a grand commitment. It is an opportunity to rebuild trust. Welcome to the channel and welcome to the Austin Greenbelt. The creek is quite dry right now, but it is also very beautiful. It's a beautiful warm day in December. Let's start out by just taking a breath and grounding in together. It is that time of year again when there is a lot of cultural momentum pushing us to make grand commitments, to make really big promises. And what often happens at this time of year is that we have parts that come up that look back at the previous year and identify all of these ways that we could do it better, that we can be better, that we should be better. And from that place, we also have parts that are really excited and motivated to do something about it this year. This time it's going to be different. And while both of those things make a ton of sense, I really want to encourage you this year to do something a little bit different. So many of us have made these really grand promises at this time of year, these really big resolutions that feel exciting in the moment, and maybe we can actually do for a short amount of time. But more often than not, we break those promises, we break those commitments. And any time that we make a promise to ourselves that we don't keep, we erode trust in our system. If you're unfamiliar with IFS, that's what this channel is primarily focused on. I can share with you very briefly what this kind of exchange looks like from an IFS perspective. So we have all of these different parts of us that are trying to help us. They really desire us to first survive. And if they feel like we're doing that, then they want us to thrive. But they have different perspectives, different needs, and different goals based on their limited experience. While we, from a place of self, have the ability to see the whole picture. And from that place of self, we also have peace and presence and harmony. We have a sense of interconnectedness, of calm, of curiosity, of compassion. These are just some of the characteristics that define self. And what we're really talking about when we talk about self is a state of mindfulness. It's being here right now. And that's really the goal of IFS, is to be in self as much as we possibly can, because that feels best. And it actually feels the best for our whole system, not just for self. It feels best for all of our parts as well. But when we erode this trust by breaking promises, parts step in to the leadership position. They kind of kick self out, and self can get hidden. And so many of us are operating very regularly, sometimes constantly, from different parts. And these parts, while they're incredibly valuable, and what we want to do is understand them and love them exactly how they are and who they are, we also want to be returning to a place of self and leading from that place, because really we know best. One of the best ways to do this is through self-awareness. Another best tactic to increase self-energy is to make commitments that we actually keep, because that reestablishes and it grows trust between self and parts. And the more trust that we have between ourself and our parts, the more that they allow self to be present without needing to jump into the driver's seat and take over. This is not an opportunity to make a grand commitment. It is an opportunity to rebuild trust. And if you think about it that way, when you're making your resolution, rather than allowing parts of you to come in with this excitement based perhaps on self-criticism, based more deeply on a sense of maybe self-worthlessness. We want to understand that as best we can and have compassion for that, but rather than making a commitment from that place, See if you can make a commitment from presence, from a place of understanding that the more consistent you can be with keeping this commitment, the better off your whole system is going to be. And in that, it's less about the thing that you're doing and more about you keeping the commitment that you are going to be doing it. So if you haven't been to the gym in 6 months and parts of you are coming in and saying, man, you haven't been to the gym in 6 months, we got to change this. New Year's resolution, 6 times a week, hour and a half. We're waking up at 5 a.m. We're getting out there. We're doing it. Let's go. While that can feel kind of exciting and motivating in the moment, is that really realistic for you? I think that it's incredibly rare for human beings to be able to make these really grand commitments and stick to them and have the entire system on board and okay with it. Very, very rare. Very seldom do we have those moments in life. And it's more often and more true that what we really need is gentle consistency that builds organic momentum without force, which can often show up as the form of willpower. This is also a big cultural push right now. Willpower. All you need is more willpower. Willpower is a part of you, and that part is probably exhausted by having to show up and force other feelings, parts aside, in order to get this thing done that either it or another part has placed on its lap to do. It's way too much to give to a part, and it's way too much to put on the system. Gentleness, inconsistency is really the key. And through that process, you build a positive feedback loop with creating consistency that is gentle. You also build more self-trust, allowing more self-energy to be present, allowing more realistic, consistent promises to be made and kept. And this just repeats itself. So this year, I really want to encourage you, rather than jumping into this big cultural momentum that's fueled by willpower, that's often fueled by self-criticism, which often is rooted in parts that don't feel valuable, that feel worthless, and thinking that we can just change it all if we just push through. Consider something different. Consider compassion for those parts that really do want to get some big changes done this year. Hold that compassion for them. Understand that it makes sense that they're there. We're not saying there's anything wrong with that desire, because there isn't. But we're also saying, hey, I hear you, and I think this is going to be the best for us. And can you trust me to lead? And rather than waking up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym for an hour and a half and banging this out after not going to the gym for 6 months, it may be much more realistic to say, hey, 3 times a week, I'm going to wake up a little early and I'm going to do 15 minutes of stretches. And then in 1 month, I'm going to reassess. And if I've been able to stick to those commitments, I'm going to reassess and we're going to add something else in. This is just an example, by the way. It's going to look very different for you depending on your goals and what is genuinely realistic for you. I often say to my clients, we want to push your edge without pushing you over the edge. And very, very often at this time of year, we're setting ourselves up on the precipice where tomorrow morning, and when we fall off that precipice, it's a broken promise. And that deeply impacts our interpersonal relationship with this system right here, which is, by the way, the most important relationship for you to have trust in. What can you do this year that's going to set you up for the success of a higher level of trust within yourself? How can you be consistent? Not what can you get done, how can you get from point A to point B as fast as possible, but how can you very consistently and gently create sustainable change that is rooted in trust? Because that trust is something that will be able to fuel very big change, but consistently and without force and without willpower. It may be this year that the best thing you can do for a New Year's resolution is not making any New Year's resolutions. and you can make that commitment to your parts. This year, we're going to do it differently. No New Year's resolutions, no promises. What we are going to do is set the intention to connect more deeply with ourselves, to be more compassionate to these parts that are looking for our attention, looking for our care, and looking for our love. That we're going to set the intention of being more self-led, that we're going to set the intention to reestablish or to grow trust between self and our parts. That is a beautiful resolution, in my opinion. Whatever you decide to do this year, I would really encourage you to take 5 minutes, lay down, close your eyes, hand on your heart, hand on your belly, and just take some breaths and feel what is present in you. If you have a difficult time doing that, you notice that you just going up into the mind, you're thinking a lot of thoughts, tune in with the body, ground into the body, and just notice what the body is feeling. That's it. The simplicity of this exercise does not take away from its profound effect on increasing self-awareness, which in my opinion is the number one way to increase self. And all we need to do to increase self-awareness is to slow down. Take a breath. You are here now, and self is here now. And from that place, consider what I just shared in this video, and maybe take some notes. And we would love to hear from you in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, I highly encourage you to do that. If you want to like the video, that helps get it spread around through the algorithms. And I also want you to check out internalfamilysystems.org. More videos, lots of articles, a free guided meditation. We've got a program over there for self-led IFS therapy that you can do on yourself, for yourself, in the comfort of your home. And whatever you choose to do this New Year's, many, many blessings to you and your loved ones. Much love to you. I'll see you in the next one.